All of the best, worst, and of course, weirdest moments from around the league in week 4. This is 610 football. How about New York, New York? The first time that both the Giants and the Jets both got a victory on the same day since December of 2019. I'll talk about the Jets later because first I want to talk about the Giants and how much I think Daniel Jones actually played pretty well this game. I mean, he came up clutch and he's looking a lot better than he did last season. His accuracy is better. I feel like his arm strength has gotten a little better, but also he's staying more calm and he's finally using the weapons he was given in the offseason. Kenny Golladay, 100-yard game. Kadarius Toney had over 78 yards. And I think if New York's offense can continue to play like this, along with their defense, they could possibly be in contention for a wild card spot. I do think Dallas will get the division, but wouldn't completely rule New York out of a wild card spot. And if I'm the Saints, I think you just played down to your opponent. It's simple as that. You just didn't play well enough to win the game. There's really no one specific part of your team that was responsible for the reason why you guys lost. How about that bad man Taylor Heinicke playing some of the best football of his life? I mean, this was a really impressive win for the Washington football team. Now, I know you may consider it, just classic Falcons choking in the fourth quarter. I really do think the Washington football team has a future here with Taylor Heinicke. I mean, this throw to Terry McLaurin, incredible. And also, great job by McLaurin to readjust for that football. He had 2 touchdowns on the day. And just this comeback victory really is what Washington needed. However, I have to say, the football team's defense is a little bit overrated in my opinion. They played good week 1, but the past couple weeks, they have allowed over 25 points in each of those games. Not really good considering that is what got you to the playoffs last year. And if you want to talk about the Falcons side of the ball, Cordero Patterson, have we ever seen a game like that before from him in his life? I don't think we have. And also, if you want, with Matt Ryan and Arthur Smith, both had really good games, play calling, and Matt Ryan had like 4 touchdowns. This was the type of offense I was expecting to see when they hired Arthur Smith, and I'm really happy it's finally starting to show. The big story in the NFL this week was Tom Brady returning to New England, but we saw a couple other returns around the league, including Kevin Stefanski returning to Minnesota, where he was their offensive coordinator in 2019, and he ended up getting the last laugh. But I have to give my credit to the Vikings. A rebuilding defense, they were able to hold a really good Browns offense in check. They only allowed 1 touchdown. That's really good considering how much talent the Browns have and how bad the Vikings defense has been of late. But on the other side of the ball, the Browns also have a pretty good defense. And Kirk Cousins, even though I still think he's a really good quarterback, unable to come up clutch in this situation and in this game. But I think it's only 1 game. I mean, the Vikings, it's weird. I mean, their defense looked really good, but their offense just had a down game. It's a pretty weird team to see how they will project throughout the rest of the season. I wouldn't be too worried. I think they have a fairly easy schedule, and I really do think that offense can carry the team to the playoffs. And if the defense can play as they did today for the rest of the season, that can only help them. So in the previous segment, I talked about Tom Brady returning to New England not being the only return we will see this week. We also saw Andy Reid return to Philadelphia for just a second time, and he got the last laugh. He became just the only coach in NFL history to have 100 wins with multiple teams, getting his 100th win with the Chiefs today. And can we talk about Patrick Mahomes for a second, how creative that offense is? I mean, he threw a touchdown in 3 different ways. He threw a touchdown overhand, he threw a touchdown underhand, and he shovel passed for a touchdown. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before in my life, and I've seen a lot of football. However, Eagles, this team, yikes. I mean, great job, Devonta Smith, getting your first career 100-yard game. But this team really needs to clean up the penalties and needs to figure out something with that system. Jalen Hurts is just looking like the ultimate stat pattern right now, based off how he played in the fourth quarter down to big. But man, this offense is just looking incoherent, a lot like Doug Pearson's offense last year. And if they don't change anything, Eagles are going to be in for a long season. When you're a playoff team the previous year and then you start the next year 0-3, it's always really disappointing. But the Colts did a great job getting their first win of the season today against a really tough Miami Dolphins defense. And I think that really came off the backs of Carson Wentz and Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor just has been invisible, it seemed, the first 3 weeks, but today he gets over 100 yards and really helped out the Colts getting into the W column. And hey, also Carson Wentz having a pretty good game for Indy, over 200 yards. He had 2 touchdowns of his own, and I think the Colts, a 1-3 record, is it really how much? Does that really tell you how good of a team they are? I don't think so. I mean, they've played a really tough schedule, but at the same time, it also tells you, okay, this team isn't really good enough to play good teams when it matters, if that makes sense. They're going to struggle against tough teams. So maybe a little bit of a pretender vibe going on there. But Dolphins, they played really bad, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Like, I understand that Tua's out, but even with Tua, I don't see them winning that game. And there are rumors of, on October 4th, which is Monday, which is maybe when most of you are watching this, the Dolphins could execute a trade for Deshaun Watson. I heard it on a podcast somewhere. Do not quote me on that, because I do not know how reliable the source is, but wouldn't be too surprised if the Dolphins end up trying to make a move for Deshaun, especially with how Houston is softening their stance on him. If I'm the New York Jets, I think I'm more happy with how Zach Wilson played today as opposed to getting your first win of the season. Now, don't get me wrong. It's awesome that the Jets were finally able to get their first win of the season a lot quicker than they were able to last season. But Zach Wilson played really well today. He was able to show off the arm strength, able to show off the accuracy, looked a lot more calm, and he looked like a number 2 overall pick, which is really good for the Jets. However, I think you have to be patient with Wilson. He will be good, and he showed that off today. But Justin Herbert, I still believe, set the expectation way too high for how first-round rookie quarterbacks should perform. And that's really, I mean, the rookie quarterbacks this year have been bad, but they've been horrible compared to how Herbert played last year. But Zach Wilson, I think he's going to be good, but you're going to have to give him some time. Also, Titans offense had to get pretty creative today. They were down their top 2 receivers in A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. So 10 different Titans players ended up getting targeted, which is incredible to see. But I think this is the same case with the Saints. They just played down to an opponent, and, well, now they're at 2-2, which is really underwhelming considering I thought they were one of the best teams in the NFL in the preseason. I'm sure a lot of us were expecting for the Panthers and Cowboys to be the best game of the early window, but the Cowboys offense got ahead early and they didn't let up. And if I'm the Panthers, I wouldn't worry too much about this game. I mean, normally when you see defense, like really good defense versus a really good offense, the defense prevails, but I think the Cowboys offense is just that good. So if I'm the Panthers, I wouldn't worry too much about how their defense is playing. I think they will be fine throughout the course of a 17-game season. And also for the Cowboys, thank you, Mike McCarthy, for finally using Ezekiel Elliott, because look at that. He still has something left in the tank. He's not washed just yet. Also, speaking of rushing, who would have thought that Sam Darnold would be leading the league in rushing touchdowns? He had 2 today to add to 5 total on the season. That's a sentence I never thought I'd be saying. Justin Fields had one of the worst career starts against the Browns last week, getting sacked 9 times. So it was good to see him this game come out and play good against the Detroit Lions. And I say good because I still feel like there's a lot that is left for Justin Fields to accomplish, if that makes sense. I mean, obviously it's only second career start, but I really do feel like that Fields is one of those players where if you sit him for a year, and especially if you get a new head coach next year and a new offense, then he will flourish a lot more. I do think he calmed down a little bit, but I do think there were some errant throws. He did show off the arm strength a little bit, which was good, but nothing really too impressive just yet, which is why I think sitting him is the best choice. And also, Matt Nagy, thank you for finally using David Montgomery. Got me 20 plus fantasy points, and it really took a lot of pressure off of Fields. Also, Detroit, what the hell was this play? I don't even know what to classify this as. Like, was it an interception? Was it a fumble? How are we rolling this here? Probably one of the funniest turnovers I've ever seen, and really just encapsulates what the Detroit Lions are. This was really one of the most boring football games ever, and honestly, I feel quite bad for Davis Mills. I mean, the rain definitely didn't help him, but 4 interceptions, geez Louise, that was just a rough performance there. But hey, if I'm Buffalo, I'm feeling pretty good about this victory. I mean, the defense played extremely well. They have 4 interceptions and also held the Texans to 0 yards. But the offense also put a 40-burger up on the board. So, and it's reminding me a lot of the team that we saw last year, but actually with a better defense. So for Buffalo, I think this could be a game that could just get the team going, keep on their winning ways, and honestly, if they keep on playing like this, they are 100% Super Bowl bound. It was pretty cool that we got to see Trey Lance play meaningful football for an extended period of time, but I think it also went to show that Jimmy G should definitely be the starter right now in San Francisco. I mean, yes, Trey Lance had a really nice 75-yard touchdown to kick things off in the second half, but other than that, he was pretty underwhelming. And Lance is the same thing with Fields. If you have him sit for a year or two, he's going to go do a lot better than as opposed to just throwing him into the fire now and risking injury. But, I mean, that's a story for another day. But I think another thing to look at is how good Seattle's defense played. Now, they were playing against a backup quarterback, but Seattle's defense the past couple of years just has not been good. And the first couple of games this year, it was not looking all that good. And today, they were able to come out and hold the Niners, who are really good on the offensive side of the ball, to just 14 points. So if I'm Seattle, I'm taking that energy, I'm taking that win, and I'm going to try and carry over that into Thursday Night Football this week. I really owe Cardinals fans an apology. I thought their team was just going to be not good at all this year. Now they're one of only 2 teams left in the NFL that's undefeated. And I think I just underestimated how much talent they had on both sides of the ball. I really was not confident in the spread offense, but I feel like with how great Kyler Murray is playing and how many weapons you surround him with, then maybe we could see the spread working in the NFL. And also on defense, I didn't think their defense was going to be that good, especially their secondary, but it's playing lights out right now. And my apologies, Byron Murphy, I thought you were like a scrub corner just based off how you played the first 2 years. Way to go, stepping up and having 3 interceptions already early on in the season. The Cardinals team are definitely going to be ones to mess with. And now the NFC West is the best division of football. Cardinals are out to a great start at 4-0. Now they have a tiebreaker a little bit over the Rams right now. So that's crucial for how this team is going to play going into the playoffs throughout the rest of the season. It's pretty wild to think that the Ravens almost finished this game without 100 yards rushing, but they were able to come out on the last play of the game and get a cheeky 4-yard rushing play. But the big news for this was that Denver was definitely a pretender team. They came into the game with a 3-0 record, and normally that's really good. But when it came against teams who were combined 0-9, it's going to raise some questions, and the Ravens really exposed them today. And it also didn't help that Teddy Bridgewater ended up leaving with a concussion. And, Drew Lock, who's barely played any football, had to come in at quarterback. But going back to the Ravens offense, it's been a little bit underwhelming for me so far this season. It just feels like with how good the offense has been in the past, I was expecting them to score more touchdowns and more points. But it might just be me, but it just seems a little underwhelming. I mean, it's not really something to hold against them. I think that it's going to improve throughout the season. But, don't get me wrong, the Denver Broncos have a really good defense. But if you're the Ravens, you've been one of the best offensive teams the past 2 years in the league. I thought they were going to come out to a hot start. And I mean, they have record-wise. But offensively, aside from the Kansas City game, it's been a little bit underwhelming. They said Trill made that shit. Alright, that's it for today's video. If you liked it, make sure you hit the like button. And if you really liked it, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the post notifications bell so you know whenever I upload a new episode of 610 Football. Also, make sure you click the links in my bio, or my description, for my Instagram, my Twitter, and my TikTok. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.